sense of complete victory, which is so sweet to woman's heart. She went away about 4 o'clock in the morning. Her husband had been sleeping since midnight in the little deserted anteroom, with 3 other gentlemen whose wives were having a very good time. He threw over his shoulders the wraps which he had brought, modest wraps of common life, whose poverty contrasted with the elegance of the ball dress. She felt this and wanted to escape so as to not be remarked by the other women who were enveloping themselves in costly furs. Loisel held her back. "Wait a bit, you will catch cold outside. I will go and call a cab." She did not listen to him, and rapidly descended the stairs. When they were in the street, they did not find a carriage, and they began to look for one, shouting after the cabmen who saw them passing by at a distance. They went down towards Seine in despair, shivering with cold. At last they found on the quay one of the ancient noctambulent cupes, which, exactly as if they were ashamed to show their misery during the day, are never seen round Paris until after nightfall. It took them to their door in the Rue de Martyr, and once more, sadly, they climbed up homeward. All was ended for her, and as to him, she reflected that he must be at the ministry at 10 o'clock. She removed the wraps, which covered her shoulders, before the glass, so as to once more see herself in all her glory. But suddenly she uttered a cry. She no longer had the necklace around her neck. Her husband, already half undressed, demanded, "What's the matter with you?" She turned madly towards him. "I have lost Madame Forestier's necklace." He stood up distracted. "What? How? Impossible." They looked in the folds of her dress, in the folds of her cloak, and her pockets, everywhere. They did not find it. He asked, "You're sure you had it on you when you left the ball?" "Yes, I felt it in the vestibule of the palace." "But if you had lost it in the street, we should have heard it fall. It must be in the cab." "Yes, probably." "Did you take his number?" "No, probably." "And you? Did you notice it?" "No." "And you?" They looked, thunderstruck at one another. At last Loisel put on his clothes. "I shall go back on foot," said he, "over the whole route which we have taken to see if I can find it." And he went out. She sat waiting on a chair in her ball dress, without strength to go to bed, overwhelmed, without fire, without a thought. Her husband came back at 7 o'clock. He had found nothing. He went to police headquarters, to the newspaper offices, to offer a reward. He went to the cab companies, everywhere. In fact, whither he was urged by the least suspicion of hope. She waited all day in the same condition of mad fear before this terrible calamity. Loisel returned at night in a hollow, pale face. He had discovered nothing. "You must write to your friend," said he, "that you have broken the clasp of the necklace, and that you are having it mended. That will give us time to turn around." She wrote at his dictation. At the end of the week they had lost all hope, and Loisel, who had aged 5 years, declared, "We must consider how to replace that ornament." The next day they took the box which had contained it, and they went to the jeweler whose name was found within. He consulted his books. "It was not I, madame, who sold the necklace. I must simply have furnished the case." They went from jeweler to jeweler, searching for a necklace like the other, consulting their memories, sick both of them with chagrin and anguish. They found a shop in Palais Royal, a string of diamonds which seemed to them exactly like the one they looked for. It was worth 40,000 francs. They could have it for 36. So they begged the jeweler not to sell it for 3 days yet. And they made a bargain that he should buy it back for 34,000 francs in case they found the other one before the end of February. Loisel possessed 18,000 francs which his father had left him. He would borrow the rest. He did borrow, asking 1,000 francs of one, 500 of another, 5 louis here, 3 louis there. He gave notes, took up ruinous obligations, dealt with usurers, and all the rest of lenders. He compromised all the rest of his life, risked his signature without even knowing if he could meet it, and frightened by the pain yet to come, by the black misery which was about to fall upon him, by the prospect of all physical privations, and of all the moral tortures which he was to suffer, he went to get the new necklace, putting down upon the merchant's counter 36,000 francs. When mine Loisel looked back at the necklace, Madame Forestier said with a chilly manner, "You should have returned it sooner. I might have needed it." She did not open the case, as her friend had so much feared. If she had detected the substitution, what would she have thought? What would she have said? Would she not have taken mine Loisel for a thief? Mine Loisel now knew the terrible existence of the deed. She took her part, moreover, all on a sudden, with heroism. That dreadful debt must be paid. She would pay it. They dismissed her servant. They changed their lodgings. They rented the garret under the roof. She came to know what heavy housework meant and the odious cares in the kitchen. She washed the dishes, using her rosy nails on the greasy pots and pans. She washed the dirty linens, the shirts, the dishcloths which she dried upon a line. She carried the slops down to the street every morning and carried up the water, stopping for breath at every landing. And dressed like a woman of the people, she went to the fruiterer, the grocer, the butcher, her basket on her arm, bargaining and salted, defending her miserable money so by so. Each month they had to meet some notes, renew others, obtain more time. Her husband worked in the evening, making a fair copy of some tradesmen's accounts, and late at night he often copied manuscript for 5 sous a page. And this life lasted 10 years. At the end of 10 years, they had paid everything with the rates of usury and the accumulations of the compound interest. Mademoiselle was old now. She had become the woman of impoverished households, strong and hard and rough, with frowsy hair, skirts askew, and red hands. She talked loud while washing the floor with great swishes of water. Sometimes, when her husband was at the office, she sat down near the window. She thought of that gay evening long ago, of that ball where she had been so beautiful and so fitted. What would have happened if she had not lost the necklace? Who knows? Who knows how life is strange and changeful? Who knows how little a thing is needed for us to be lost or to be saved? But one Sunday, having gone to take a walk in the Champs-Élysées, to refresh herself from the labors of the week, she suddenly perceived a woman who was leading a child. It was Madame Forestier, still young, still beautiful, still charming. Mademoiselle felt moved. Was she going to speak to her? Yes, certainly. And now that she had paid, she was going to tell her all about it. And now that she had paid, she went up. Good day, Jean. The other, astonished to be familiarly addressed by this plain good wife, did not recognize her at all, and stammered, "But, Madame, I do not know. You must be mistaken. No, I'm Mathilde Loisel." Her friend uttered a cry. "Oh, my poor Mathilde, how are you changed?" "Yes, I've had days hard enough since I've seen you. Days wretched enough, and that because of you." "Of me? How so?" "Do you remember that diamond necklace which you lent me to wear to that ministerial ball?" "Yes, well, I lost it." "What do you mean? You brought it back?" "Well, I lost it." "I brought you back another just like it, and for this we've been 10 years paying it. You can understand that it is not easy for us who had nothing. At least it is ended, and I am very glad." Madame Forestier stopped. "You say that you brought a necklace of diamonds to replace mine?" "Yes, you never noticed it then? They were very like." She smiled with a joy which was proud and naive at once. Madame Forestier, strongly moved, took her 2 hands. "Oh, my poor Mathilde, my necklace was paste. It was worth at most 500 francs." And that is the necklace. Part of it may got cut off in the recording. But that is the short story that you're supposed to read for Mr. Fort. Now let's look at questions. Okay, Mr. Fort. The necklace. All right, so here's the questions that you're expected to answer for Mr. Florence. And this is the NTI for next week, so the week of the 20th. So starting Monday. If I were you, I would do it all at the same time. You're supposed to write a paragraph per response, which isn't bad. I would just think it would be easier to answer all of the questions at once, right after you read a story or right after you listen to the story. But since you have the luxury now of having someone read it to you, or having a video to watch that has a story on it, or having a video to one a day. Okay? So, for example, on Monday, how does the Maupassant describe Mathilde? How does this affect your opinion of her? Okay. So it's asking, how does the author describe the main girl in the story, and how does this affect your opinion of her? So your opinion, you might think, you might really identify with her. Maybe you're the kind of person who really wants to be rich, and you really want to have a bunch of things. Or maybe you're the kind of person who doesn't like people like that. So, however, tell how she's described by the author, and then tell how that makes you feel about her. So let's go back and let's look real quick at how she is described. Very first paragraph. She was one of those pretty and charming girls who are sometimes, by mistake of destiny, born in a family of clerks. She had no dowry, no expectations, no means of being known, understood, loved, wedded by any rich and distinguished man, and she let herself be married to a little clerk in the Ministry of Public Instruction. Okay. So, the first part, it talks about she is essentially a very pretty girl who was born into a family that would never have the means of causing her being rich or her being well known. She was just born into a middle of the road to poor family, and she married someone who was also from the same class. The second paragraph talks about she dressed plain because she didn't have the means to dress any other way, and she's kind of mad about it. She felt like she should be more than what she is. The third paragraph, she suffered ceaselessly, feeling herself born for all the delicacies and all the luxuries. She suffered from the poverty of her dwelling, from the wretched look of the walls, and the worn-out chairs, from the ugliness of the curtains. So she didn't really like anything about her life because she felt like she deserved to be rich and to have all of the best things to be rich because she was pretty and she was born charming. So, that's how the author describes her. How does that make you feel? One paragraph. How does that make you feel? One paragraph. Question number 2. What was Matilda's motivation in buying a fancy dress and borrowing jewelry? Let's go back. There's something that happened. Her husband brought something home after you find out that she hates her life and she hates being poor and not having pretty stuff and pretty dresses and jewelry and everything. Her husband brings home an invitation to a ball at the minister's palace, and she immediately, although she wants to go out and do this stuff, she's like, well, I can't go if I don't have a nice dress, or I can't go if I don't have jewelry. So she gets really upset. And she decides that the only way that she's going to go to this ball is if she has a nice dress. And then she gets a nice dress. Her husband gives her the money that he was going to use to buy a gun, and she gets a nice dress. And then she decides, even though she has a nice dress, she can't go to this without having jewelry, because all of the rich women have jewelry, and if she doesn't have it, they'll know that she's poor. So she goes and she borrows from one of her friends jewelry. So that way, even though nothing is true, even though she did technically buy the dress, all of the stuff that she's putting out there for people to see, it's all kind of fake. Number 3. Why do you think she had such a good time at the ball? Even if you don't have fancy clothes, I would say that most people, when they get something maybe new for their birthday or Christmas, the first time that you wear new clothes, or the first time that you, or maybe your clothes are really clean, or maybe you're really excited about something new that you've gotten and you get to show it off, probably a pretty good feeling. So she finally thought she was experiencing the life that she deserved, and she kept thinking, this is how I took the story. She was like, finally, this is my opportunity to show people that I deserve to be in this world, and maybe, who knows, maybe I'll run into somebody that will be able to put me in a situation. Like all those people that are like, man, if someone would just hear me sing, I'll be famous. She was kind of like that, but with her, it was just, she wanted people to take care of her because she was pretty, and number 4, what was her motivation in replacing the necklace, and what does that say about her? So she borrowed the necklace from her friend, and she wanted to replace the necklace. Partially, you could make the argument that replacing the necklace is a very honorable thing to do, considering she lost it, and it is an honorable thing to do. But I think you also need to mention the fact that she did this without ever telling the lady that she lost her necklace, because that necklace could have had sentimental value, because that could have come from someone in her family. So they were still kind of dishonest about the whole thing, even though they did the right thing in getting her another necklace. And because they didn't tell her, they ultimately ended up doing all of this for nothing. So it goes to show that honesty is always the best policy. So what does it say about her? One, part of her wants to do the right thing, but I think the biggest part is she doesn't want to get in trouble. She would rather spend, and her husband too, her husband's a big part of it. Her and her husband would rather spend 10 years doing every chore that you can imagine, working nights, working all the time, getting dirty, being as poor as they've ever been in their lives, in order to just not tell this lady that they accidentally lost her necklace. So I think that says the most. And number 5, explain Matilda's attitude toward honesty. What would change about her experience if she was more honest? This is an opinion question. So we kind of just talked about her attitude toward honesty. If she had been more honest, is there the possibility that everything would have still turned out the same, because she could have said, sorry, I lost your necklace, and the lady just said, well, you need to go get me another one. And the lady she may not have said something, but I'm going to guess if she had said something to her with all the jewelry that lady had, she would have just said, that's fine. Or it's just 500 francs. Because ultimately, her not telling her is the reason that she has spent 10 years of her life. So, one paragraph each for questions 1 through 5. You can do one question per day, but make sure that you turn it all in on one doc in Google Classroom. If you need paper copies, there's been one call sent out about that. There's videos on the Facebook page, the ECHS Facebook page, about when you can come pick up paper copies and how to get those back to the school. But if you're turning it in online, if you're doing one question per day, you don't need to do one question, turn it in. Day 2, one question, turn it in. Day 2, create a document, do one day, create a document. Want to wait till the next day to do number 2, save that document, it'll automatically save in Google Docs, and then go back into that same document, and then hit enter a couple times, give yourself some space, and enter number 2, and do that. And do that for all 5 days, so it's all on one document, and you can turn it in to Mr. Florence at the end of the week, or before Mr. Florence. So that is NTI for Mr. Florence for next week. So we're done with the necklace. That was the necklace. We're going to go to geometry. And we're going to look at days 24 through 26. So this is a little bit different. This is a little bit different than what Miss Curtis has done in the past. She's actually posted an article for you to read, and then take a quiz over. Okay, here's the website that it comes from. I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but it's on your classroom page. And then you're gonna read the following article and answer the corresponding questions on the Google form. Okay, not a long article. I'm gonna read the article right now, and then we're gonna go look at the quiz. There we go. Plato. The Athenian philosopher.
Plato.
Biography. What was Plato known for? Biography. Although usually remembered today as a philosopher, Plato was also one of ancient Greece's most important patrons of mathematics. Inspired by Pythagoras, he founded his academy in Athens in 387 BCE, where he stressed mathematics as a way of understanding more about reality. In particular, he was convinced that geometry was the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. The sign above the academy entrance read, "Let no one ignorant of geometry enter here." Miss Curtis needs to put that over her. Plato played an important role in encouraging and inspiring Greek intellectuals to study mathematics as well as philosophy. His academy taught mathematics as a branch of philosophy, as Pythagoras had done. In the first 10 years of the 15-year course, the academy involved the study of science and mathematics, including plane and solid geometry, astronomy, and harmonics. Plato became known as the maker of mathematicians. His academy boasted some of the most prominent mathematicians of the ancient world, including Eudoxus, Theaetetus, and Archytas. These are probably all wrong. He demanded of his students accurate definitions, clearly stated assumptions, and logical deductive proof. He insisted that geometric proofs be demonstrated with no aids other than a straight edge and a compass. Among the many mathematical problems Plato posed for his students' investigation were the so-called three classical problems: squaring the circle, doubling the cube, and trisecting the angle. And to some extent, these problems have become identified with Plato, although he was not the first to pose them. Platonic solids. Plato, the mathematician, is perhaps best known for his identification of 5 regular symmetrical three-dimensional shapes, which he maintained were the basis for the whole universe, and which have become known as the Platonic solids: the tetrahedron, constructed of 4 regular triangles, for which Plato represented fire; the octahedron, composed of 8 triangles representing air; the icosahedron, composed of 20 triangles and representing water; the cube, composed of 6 squares and representing earth; and the dodecahedron, made up of 12 pentagons, which Plato obscurely described as the god used for arranging the constellations on the whole heaven. The tetrahedron, cube, and dodecahedron were probably familiar to Pythagoras, and the octahedron and icosahedron were probably discovered by Theaetetus and a contemporary of Plato. Furthermore, it fell to Euclid half a century later to prove that these were the only possible convex regular polyhedra, but they nevertheless became popularly known as the Platonic solids and inspired mathematicians and geometers for many centuries to come. For example, around 1600, the German astronomer Johannes Kepler devised an ingenious system of nested Platonic solids and spheres to approximate quite well the distances of the known planets from the Sun, although he was enough of a scientist to abandon his elegant model when it proved to not be accurate. So there is the article that you're supposed to read for Miss Curtis's class, and here is this quiz. Okay, so they're all just going to be based on the article. Besides being known as a philosopher, Plato was also known as a chemist, statue carver, mathematician, old man. He was an old man, but it's not something he was known for. He also didn't carve many statues or mix many chemicals. He might have, but that's not what this article is about. So mathematician is what he was also a mathematician. Plato was convinced that blank was the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Hint, hint, it's the name of the class that you're in right now. Not philosophy, not algebra, and not Google. Geometry was the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. 3. Which of the following was not studied at Plato's academy? Plane geometry, solid geometry, calculus, or astronomy? Okay, I'm not going to give you this one. I will mark out solid geometry. So that is not the answer. Go back, either listen to it or look at the article and you're looking for which one of these was not studied. So only one of these is not mentioned in there, and they're all in one sentence. Number 4, what are the common tools used by Plato and his students during his time period to demonstrate their knowledge? There's 2 things that he said that he wanted all of his proofs to be shown using. Only one of these answers has 2 things in it. So I'll just leave it at that. Which of the following is not a platonic solid? So these are those shapes that the polyhedra that we were talking about. Only one of these was not on one of the shapes that was listed. Okay, one of the shapes: cube, octahedron, circle, and tetrahedron. One of those is not like the other. Okay. So there's days, that was 24, 25, and 26. You read that article, you take a quiz. You read that article, you take a quiz. And then let's go. Look at days 27 through 31. Look at days 27 through 31. This week we will be reviewing. Okay, let's do this. Alright, this week we'll be reviewing perimeter and area. These are just notes. Complete the following sheets by typing the answer in the blank. Just giving you notes for perimeter and area, and then you're going to do a couple of problems. Okay? For example, and it's blurry on my screen too. It's not the. It's not the stream. Perimeter. This is a floor plan of Amanda's new house. So you have all these rooms, and it tells you what the distance is, and tells you what the length of all the walls. Using the floor plan, find the perimeter of each of the following rooms. So going back to our first thing, we know perimeter is the distance around a shape. So all we're doing is we're adding all the sides of each room. So if we look at the garage, we know that all of the walls in the garage are 4 meters. So garage is right here. So we would type 4 plus 4, which would be 16. So our garage would be 16 meters. That would be the perimeter. We would do the same thing for each of these. Ooh, look at this shape. That is not a rectangle. We also have the same issue with this hallway. Let's do this funky looking shape right here. So perimeter, all we're doing is adding all the sides that we know. So we would do 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3. Easy peasy. Okay? And kitchen and dining room. So that would go down at the bottom. If that would go down to the bottom where I scroll down. Okay? Now we're using area. So each one of these squares represents a meter. For example, the garage is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 squares there, so it's 4 meters across. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 meters tall. Remember, area is our base times height, or length times width. So we would do 4 times 4 to figure out the area of our garage. So we're doing the same thing for all of these rooms. Next week, Andy and Maggie are moving into a new home. Next week, floor plan of their new home and help them find the area of each room. So we're doing the same thing in this one, except it's giving you the feet instead of giving you the boxes. And there's also something a little bit tricky in this one, because you're going to have to do some subtraction. The master bedroom, it gives you the length of this wall, it gives you the length of this wall. But there's also this bathroom that takes a chunk out of the master bedroom. So what we're going to have to do is find the area of this whole thing. 11 times 20. Then we're going to have to find the area of the bathroom, 6 times 6. We subtract this area, so we're going to subtract the answer to this from the answer to this. So, we're 6 times 6 is 36. So we're going to subtract 36 from the area of the master bedroom, and that'll give us the actual area of the master bedroom. And that is it. That is the end of that slideshow. That is days 27 through 31. So we have done, we've gone over days 24 through 31. That's all that you need for those things. If anybody has any questions, please email me. If I'm a person that you are, that I am calling, if you're a person that I'm calling regularly, you should have my number. You can give me a phone call. You can contact me through Google Classroom if you're a part of my caseload, or if you're in my study skills class. Does anyone have any questions on the stream? If not, I'm getting ready to close down the stream. I will be uploading this to YouTube and linking that on the Google Classroom page. Everybody, keep washing your hands. If it's pretty, go outside. It's been really pretty this week. It's supposed to rain tonight, but if your parents or whoever's watching you is okay with you going outside and being away from their supervision, go outside and do something outside. It's really pretty. I like to go down in the woods. I like to play with my dogs. If you've got animals, now's a great time to spend quality time with them that you don't normally get to during the school day. So make the most of the situation. Please continue to do your work. Turn your stuff in. If you need help, ask for help. Okay? It's hard for us to help people who, one, it's difficult to get in touch with, and two, who we don't know need our help. So we're trying to help everybody. But if you never respond to anything that we say, it just makes our job harder. So, everybody, have a good one. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week.